And welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben, and this is my review for a Netflix special, Attack of the Hollywood Clichés. I'd love to know in the comments below, which is your favorite cliche and which is your worst? Which is the one that comes up when you see it, you're like, oh, not this again. It's an interesting one to talk about, tricky to review, so I'm just going to give my short thoughts on it and then we can discuss in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Do remember to hit the thumbs, subscribe if you haven't done yet. Welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. Let's jump in. Attack of the Hollywood Clichés is a one-off special featuring some of the most famous films in cinematic history, along with a plethora of Hollywood A-listers, screenwriters, academics and critics as they guide us through the funny, weird and controversial clichés which appear in our cinema screens. Hosted by Rob Lowe, it's one of the most sarcastic roles you would have seen Rob Lowe in, which I think is kind of a perfect choice for a cliche special. It's going to cover topics like the meet cute, the jump scares, all of the cliches that we now see in film is what this special is about. But it's also kind of like a history lesson on film. We go right back into like some black and white where some of these cliches crept up. It's really interesting to see kind of the history and the lore and how that has influenced Hollywood and how some of the directors have even kept some of them on purpose because they love them so much. The certain scream, if you've seen the trailer, you'll see that people like Steven Spielberg will put it in his films or even now. But it's a really interesting history lesson. So the way it's kind of put together, you kind of feel like you're learning something about Hollywood. You probably won't have known already the origins about some of these cliches. And if you love film like me, I think you will find this very interesting to watch. I was slightly offended with some of the choices of their films that they chose. It felt like they were taken away from the magnificence of some of the films that they chose because of the certain cliches, like the token black guy is what they were talking about, or the token gay guy. There are some things they say as Hollywood cliches, and it felt like they were taken away, or at least saying taken away, that the reason why that film is good is because Hollywood loves to choose a person for Oscars time. If you're gay and disabled, the cliche, you'll definitely get an Oscar. But I felt like it was taken away from some of the films that were actually brilliant and some of the actors that were brilliant in those roles. If you have Stephen King's John Coffey's character, I thought he was fantastic, but because he's black, that takes it away somewhat, because it's a Hollywood cliche to have a black person needing to be saved or rescued. There is that. And so I thought it was like, no, that's really taken away from some of the creativity and some of the best roles that we've seen. Philadelphia, again, there are like a gay person with AIDS. They're saying that most gay people with AIDS in films die and will get Oscar nominated because it's that genre. But for me, that might be true. But Philadelphia was an incredible film, well acted, well told. And some of the topics that Hollywood has shied away from or not really represented largely in a correct way, the pathway of that has, because of these films, have started to be correct. So you can see the trajectory. So I think taken away from some of those made me think, well, if you didn't have those films to get to where the place we are now, and hopefully we'll be in a better place in the future, and then those wouldn't have changed at all. It is because of some of those films that have kind of set the groundwork for things that have happened in the future. Anyway, that's my rant aside. This was actually pretty fun. It does teach you some things. Rob Lowe was a brilliant choice. I would like a kind of a whole series on particular genres. I feel like there's a lot more to explore with the cliches and how some of them have even shaped. Robert Englund's Who is Freddy had some points about horror. You know, it's very interesting coming from these perspectives, and also interesting having some film critiques in there showing their perspectives. It's, I think, with the light of where we're at in today's society, it was interesting hearing the words coming out of people's mouth. I do wonder 10 years how different what they were saying, especially the critics, how that would have changed. I mean, it is true. Our editing styles has changed. Our filming styles change. What we say is represented by the culture of the moment. So 10 years time, what we're saying is probably going to be slightly different. And you would expect things to change. There are certain demographics and laws that seem to stay the same but we definitely change our style in editing and pace. If you have a look at the fast editing techniques that we use for the majority of our films these days, and you go back to some of the black and whites or even 90s films, often you'll go back and go, wow, I love that film, but it feels so slow now. That's not necessarily saying that it's different, it's bad. It just means that we've changed what we now view as a good film, is because where we're at in time, in society, in culture, and those are all kind of the cliches that are represented in the time. So the cliches themselves change a lot. Anyway, I'm monologuing myself, the classic monologue, the bad guy monologue. Let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite? I'm not going to rate this because I don't feel like this needs rating. It was enjoyable. It was informative. It got my back up a little bit on some of the moments because like, no, I love that film so much. Probably didn't mean to. Let me know your thoughts on this. I hope you enjoyed it. What is your favorite cliche? Thanks so much for watching this, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.